Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Who's there tonight? Everybody's connecting. Greg, Patrick.
Hello, everyone.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going, Greg?
Good.
Right on.
When are you going to be back in town?
I'm back. I'm in town, man. You got to catch me while it's hot. I'm about to leave again.
Greg, where are you located?
Hearn, about probably maybe 30, 40 minutes away from Jeff.
Okay.
Let's do it soon, man, because
Tell me.
I'm leaving either next week or the week after, and I don't
let's
really
do
have anything on the schedule right at this moment.
Let's do something this week. Name a day.
Okay, cool. Let me think about that.
Greg, how far are you from Houston?
Oh, go ahead.
Hour and a half, about 100 miles.
Okay. All right. No worries.
Yeah, I could use some barbecue, so we got to find a spot.
We don't have much barbecue here in Texas, so I don't know.
All right. How's everybody doing? You guys got some, you guys have a good week? Did we make some wins? Can hear I'm still recovering my voice since the last call until today. Today's like the first day I've been able to speak really. It kind of went downhill pretty hard for me after the last call, but the win for me is I'm on the mend. I'm back up. So who else has some wins? Who did something good during their week? Nobody. Man. There's a winner coming in here. We got Mr. Spencer checking in. We got Ricky coming in from England here in 1 second.
Yeah, we can't have Spencer taking all the glory. What's going on?
Hey, Jeff, do you have the ability to stream the call?
I don't know. Let me try that.
Give it a try because mine is
Giving you a little trouble, huh? Okay.
All right, cool. Patrick, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Going good. Yeah, I don't really have much for wins. I went to Vegas and I got back.
What did you do in Vegas?
I had a bachelor party, and it's taking me a while to recover. That's
yeah.
Like Jesus Christ, I can't do that. I can't do that stuff anymore, man.
I know. Cool. Spencer, what's up, brother? You got any wins?
What up, fellas? Of course, I got some wins, man. Every day I be winning.
Yeah,
We're about to have a winless week, man. It makes me feel like what we're doing here is not moving people in the right direction.
I got the win. I don't know if I'll ever have a winless week, man, but we did 3,000 since last call. 1,000 of that is reoccurring from rank and rent. So got a couple sites, got $500 coming from them just to start out, and then some GMB stuff. And yeah, things have been great this week. So what's up, Sarah? Anyway, so yeah, things have been great. Just moving forward.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Just let a couple more people in here and we will get started.
Yeah, it's not letting me share, Patrick.
Not letting you do it? I don't know.
I don't see the right setting down there anymore.
All right. We'll have to go without the live stream again. Doesn't seem like it's going to work. We got the recording working though, so we'll just have to post this late, which is unfortunate. Never how I want to do it. What's that?
Tech support isn't on with us tonight.
Support is not on. We had a solution.
What are you streaming? What are you streaming to? Using StreamYard, or what are you using?
We try to use this. I paid for a year of this thing called Restream after it was awesome the first week.
Yeah.
And then it is no longer
downhill from there.
It's downhill.
Okay. We'll talk later. I'll help you out. We'll talk later.
That'd be good. I appreciate it. All right. So I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk to you guys really about the GMB and ranking the GMB. I know it's an area that we struggle with. Kind of like I think everyone who is in this industry, there's some challenges that they've had related to the Google My Business. Obviously, it is one of the, if not the most important things to rank. I think it is, we kind of get into a habit and we get into a groove and we forget to do a lot of the little things. And we don't spend enough time really researching and doing, investigating what's going on. And, we're shifting the tools with the reporting stuff that I've shared with you guys that we'll be releasing. We're shifting the tools to make it easier and easier to track this stuff. But I just want to kind of dive into some of these, some reports, and let's talk about things we can do to kind of move the needle, right? So for us in our agency, the go-to is our heat map, right? I don't know how you could perform at the optimal level when you lack the information that the heat map can provide you related to your GMB. It's kind of the cornerstone for our whole GMB strategy, is to understand where we're ranking weak, where we're ranking strong, and what adjustments we're going to make. So we've gone over a lot of strategies in the past, right? With getting reviews and, asking questions and scheduling and making posts, and, there's citations. So I think next week we'll be releasing our citation service. It's going to really be two parts that you can do, two different types of citations that you can order. I'm still kind of going back and forth to try to get everything set up for you guys. But I think citations in my agency, citations are an important thing. Like we just don't really see the needle move without the citations. They're kind of fickle, right? Because we can post them and Google is not going to pick up all of them. And that doesn't mean that it's, there's a problem with like the citation that we've got. It's Google's decision. And there's things that we can do to maximize that, right? So part of the service that we're going to be offering is going to help make these citations be more powerful and more sticky than maybe one of the other ones, the previous ones. So like I said, there's going to be two different ones. One is going to be more powerful and the other one's going to be cheaper. So they're each going to kind of have their pros and cons. In my agency, we do both. Okay. Also, a part of kind of the cheaper citation package that we're going to offer is going to include the big citations, which are, things like yellow pages. All citations are not created equal, just like backlinks. So we're going to make sure that when you guys order from us, that we get you set up with the citations that we think are going to move the needle the most. I want to walk you guys through. So we have a Google My Business in my agency, and it is it's one that we've had for a while, but we neglected it and it's struggling. We got a call from the client. The client's like, hey, what's going on here? I'm not really getting any leads and all my buddies are busy. Like all my buddies in the industry are super busy and I'm not getting anything. So we dove into this and we realized that like we have a lot of neglected assets that are a part of this like particular client. So we're changing our methods and kind of really trying to move towards better reporting. And what's driven the software, the LeadSnap software for years is our agency, right? Our agency is like, what do we need? Where are we struggling? And it just so happens that we've struggled and we've needed the same things that all you guys who are using the software have also needed. Man, my voice is still not all the way back, but we're really trying to make sure that we have the information in our face and readily available so that we don't get caught off guard like we did with this client. So that's kind of how we're shifting this software and having kind of reports that can be branded and I have a full-time person on my staff, and their job is basically to just like gather metrics and look for trends. And I'm hoping that we're going to, at some point, be able to have this stuff automated directly into our software where all the reports can be sent to us on a weekly basis. Like, here's how many reviews you got. Here's the GMBs that haven't had here's the GMBs where it's been the longest since there's been a review. Here's the GMBs that are not complete. So we're working on the completion percentage for the GMB. So you could see like, hey, you're missing this, and have that be pointed out to you. There's no connection through Google where we can pull that directly, but I think we can pull enough things through the API that we can calculate the completion percentage and point out to people like, hey, your GMB is only 80% complete, or, you know, the other people in the heat map have this many reviews and you had this many. So they're beating you in this area. Here's the average reviews for this heat map that was run. This type of information, and have it kind of right in your guys' face so that we can stop having to do so much work to get the information, because as our agency scales, that information and kind of like staying on top of it becomes harder and harder. So this is where I want the software to kind of be presenting this to you guys in a very easy way. So without further ado, I am going to jump into this kind of heat map presentation that I have set up for you guys here. All right, Jeff, can you see my screen? Right on. All right, so this is not my, this is some random company. This is not me. This HVAC San Diego King. I've just set up our test account to run on them on a weekly basis for demo data. So don't go attacking them if you think you're going to be attacking me, because I have no idea who these people are. Okay, so you can see, I'm going to start off with, notice this shape of this. The reason that this is kind of like shaped around San Diego and it's only hitting the spots on the land is because when I went to create a new, GMB or a new heat map, I came over here and I already have it in my history. If you guys haven't used this history function, it's really convenient. So that's pulling up that GMB. And then I can say HVAC contractor, right? So I'm going to set this up to be a mile in a 13 by 13 grid. And you can kind of see, where is this? Okay, so it's kind of like inland for whatever reason. It picks the center. By default, it picks the center of the service area. Okay, but really where I want it to be is over here. That's where I was doing my experimentation. So I can drag this with this icon right here in the top, this hand icon. I can drag this over to anywhere I want, right? I can usually zoom out and in, and if I draw a square over here, it will move the grid points over to that, right? Something is weird with that. I don't know if that chat thing is getting in the way right now and it's preventing me from zooming in and out. Whoa. Hold on a second.
Trippy.
Had a little glitch there. It's probably Zoom's fault. All right, so we'll go back to HVAC San Diego King, and we're going to go with HVAC contractor. All right, and then I'm going to do 1 mile. I'm going to change this. This is going to be 13 by 13. Okay, so it's picking that area over there, but it does, I don't have
mile,
to.
I think.
What's that?
You did 0.1 mile, I think.
That's all right. I'm going to change it anyways. I'm going to redraw this. So like one of the things I want to show you guys, you need to be able to make sure that you hit, let's do this. We'll change it to be 2.5 miles. There we go. All right. So you need to be able to hit the area that you want to target. This is important. The precision of the map is going to change based on how, like what the distance is between points, right? Because if I'm only sampling this every 2.5 miles, that's a lot different than if I'm sampling it once every 1/10 of a mile, right? So I want to hit this area right here. So I know that there's people over here and that's the center of their service area. But here's what I can do is I can use this center one here, the center choice, and I can draw this polygon around this. So I can just kind of like stay away from the ocean and hit the land in the area that I want. And so this is important because we're going to pay attention to the averages. And I'm going to just hit this kind of like meaty, wealthy part of San Diego right here. Right? I know it gets more wealthy up here too, but this is the area that I'm going to go with. So being able to have the precision to kind of like target the exact area of what you want is very important. Okay. Once I redraw this and I have my own thing, this information over here, 2.5, it's no longer correct. Like I have the same amount of points, but the area has changed that they're in. They're equally divided within this area. So it's no longer 2.5 miles. Okay. So I'm going to click on start and it's going to start that heat map. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of this functionality to be able to, with precision, not only move the map to the right area that you want to hit, but also to draw the shape of the grid. Because I don't want it going out onto the ocean and I didn't want it over here. I wanted it in this exact area. This is the area that I think is going to have the most bang for the buck if I'm trying to rank an HVAC company in San Diego. So let's go down. Now that we see how that works, let's go down and let's look at this one here. Okay, so this is one that I ran earlier today. I think, no, I ran this 5 days ago. This was the one that we have scheduled. And you can kind of see that, first of all, this is a huge area in San Diego, right? This is a massive area that has a lot of population. And when you have a lot of population in an area, the rankings are going to change quick because there's going to be more competition, right? So like, for instance, if this is somewhere out in the middle of Iowa and the distance between here, between like this 10 and this 18 is 2 miles, that's different than if it's in the middle of San Diego or in the middle of Manhattan, right? It's going to be more competitive. So you can kind of think about, like, if we go back to the analogy of the antenna with the signal, right? The bigger the antenna, the stronger the signal. The closer to the antenna we are, the stronger the signal. Well, let's introduce the concept of interference. The more competition there is, the more interference there is, and that's going to mess up your signal. So you need a bigger, stronger antenna if you're going to overpower the interference of a densely populated area with a lot of competition. So we can see that we're losing in this area out here, and we've kind of got like mixed results over here, right? We can see things are changing pretty quickly, 3, 5, 12, 20, right? If we're kind of going in that direction. And you can also see, you see this like Pancho Villa farmers market. That's kind of the spot where things start to go downhill, right? We're kind of like moving from like ranking well to okay, and then starts to get bad. So what you want to do is you really want to, we should draw a square around this, right? So if I were, let me see if I can annotate on this thing. Let's go. Okay, this will work. All right, so 1 second. All right, so you can kind of see this area. Maybe that's the wrong color. Hold on. Let's go with red. All right. All right, so this area right here, I want to have a better understanding of how I'm ranking in this area, because I want to start to move these. I'm not going to go out and try to target all of these guys out here. These are 20s. I've got to move them like 17 spots to be in the map. Where these ones over here, I only have to move like this 5. I only have to move him 2 spots before he's in the map. And in a densely populated area, having a 3 right here, that's going to bring in more leads. And what is also going to be true is that if I make this a 3, this is not going to stay as an 8. That's going to change. That's going to go down too. It could be that I make this a 3 and this becomes a 3 and this becomes a 3. And now I've got like this whole area here where all of a sudden when someone searches for that term, I'm ranking. Guys, this is huge because this is where our leads come from most of the time, right? And if we can get more leads, then we can get paid. We can get paid more. Our clients will be happier. So this is really important concept to really like focus in on the heat map and understand how you can move things within it. First, you have to have the data. Once we have the data, if you're out there and you're saying like, hey, I've got Google My Businesses and they're not ranking, this is like a part of, this is what you got to do. This is what, like, get in the game, right? Get your heat map in here and then start applying some of the strategies that we're going to talk about on this call today to this stuff. Okay. So right now I drew this huge area around San Diego, and this is the area that I'm ranking best in, where that red square is. And I know that this kind of like this Pancho Villa fish market is an area that I really want to pay attention to, because that's where things start to change. So let me get rid of this thing for a second and I'll show you what I did. So what I did is I came out here and I found this place, Pancho Villa Fish Market. And you can see this is the address for the place. So this is the address of the location that I really want to maybe build my heat map around and find out. But right now, I don't even know what the distance is between this. Maybe it's a couple miles between this. So what I think would be a great strategy is to draw a smaller square that covers this area and make the distance between the points a lot smaller so we can get a much better understanding of where we're weak and where we're strong. Okay. And then I'm going to show you guys some strategies and how we can use that information. All right. So if I were to do a new heat map now, and I'm going to stick with this same HVAC San Diego King, right? And I'll do HVAC contractor. All right. So I'm going to make the distance between the points now a 1/4 mile, and we'll see what that looks like. So now we have more densely populated points. And notice down here, I think that, I don't know if you guys pay a lot of attention to this move the map functionality, but this is super useful. So I have the address, right? This is Pancho Villa's fish market thing. I love that name. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it in here. And it's going to make the center of the map right there on that address. So I just moved it directly to where I want to focus on, right? So now it's the center of a map that has a 1/4 mile between each point. You can also, if you find yourself that you're always moving the map, I could choose this option. I'm not going to, but I can make this be the default position for my Google My Business. So it's going to take into account the points and the size and the zoom level. And it's going to save that right in, and it's going to associate it with this. So whenever I run one, by default, it will be there. Does anybody have any questions on this so far?
Alfredo has a question. I didn't really understand exactly what he was asking. Alfredo, do you mind popping in here and asking?
So, Patrick, when I do a search, where does it like search from? As an example, my plumber client, when he searches, he's in Atlanta. When he searches, oh, look, I come up first for all these things. But when I search on the heat map, it shows different.
So
how does that work?
Okay, so what Google is doing is they're trying to give you the information that you want. Okay, so let's think about that. So let's say that Alfredo's plumber is always like looking at his Google My Business, and he's going to his website often, and Google knows that. And whenever he searches, they're like, this guy keeps going to the site. Let's show him the site that he wants. That's not a clean search, right? The heat map, what the heat map is doing is it's going to go and it's going to perform the search from each one of these spots, right? And then it's going to scrape the data from there and it's going to load it in. And it's going to do it from a clean search. Like it's almost like it's doing it from an IP address that hasn't been searched from before with a browser that has like an incognito mode, right? So it would be very hard for you to be able to replicate what this is doing on your own, right? And if he were to go and get somebody's phone off the street and do a search, and then he does a search on his phone from the exact same location, the results will be different because he's been to his site, he's been to his GMB, all that stuff influences. Google's trying to give you what you've looked for in the past, right? It knows your search history. So that could explain a big part of the difference. Does that make sense, Alfredo?
Yeah, it does. It does. It just helps me explain to him like what I'm showing him, what he's doing. And perfect. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So you can kind of see that we've got it centered now on this like Pancho Villa farmers market. And I'm going to run this heat map, but I've already done this. I did this before the call in preparation. I'm going to show you what we got. Hold on one second. Man. All right. So I think it is this one. Let's check this one out. All right. So if we look at this, and I guess I'll just open these up next to each other, right? Here's the one I ran a few minutes ago. Okay. Is that the one? Yeah, I think that's the one. So that's the one I ran a few minutes ago, right? And it's covering this huge area, and it's all like 20s. And it can be hard for us if we're evaluating this on a weekly basis and we're doing this huge area, it can be hard for us to really notice any type of movement. But this one, I've really zoomed in. So this little section right here is just like maybe like these 9 numbers right here. But we basically put the points a lot closer together. And now we can build a hyperlocal strategy based on the data from the map, right? So I can come in here and I can zoom in here, and I really want to know, you can kind of see like Pancho Villa's farmers market and University Heights and Normal Heights and all of these little neighborhoods and areas around here. This is the kind of stuff you want to use when you're building, when you're going and you're going to really focus on improving these numbers, right? So you can see this is where it's a 4 or 5, and I can save this for next week when I run it again. So if I'm going to apply some strategies to this, right, I can click over here and save. I can save this grid, and I can rerun it and have the exact same grid as last week. So I can have kind of like, can be testing my strategies, and I can be watching them move as I employ them, right? So what some of the things that we can be doing here, we can be getting our, what if we have a question on our Google My Business that says, do you guys, do you guys provide HVAC service in Normal Heights? Or like something like that. Or if I can get a review that says like, I have a house over here in Normal Heights, and I hired these HVAC contractors to come out to my home and do a new air conditioner installation, right? I want to make sure that I'm loading up the stuff with like the reviews, whether like if you have your contractor here, you can coach him on the types of words that should be used from his clients. Or if you're getting them through who knows what other source, then this is the kind of stuff that you want to make sure gets in there, right? You need to build your strategy around this stuff. First, we need to get hyperlocal and find out. And by kind of zooming in on this a lot more, we can really understand it. And you can mention some of the stuff, right? So I could say, I have a home over here in Normal Heights. It's just west of Ward Canyon Neighborhood Park. Like we can make it authentic, right? And I hired these HVAC contractors to come out and do the air conditioner installation. They did an awesome job. And then since then, my parents who live over in Mission Valley East, right? So now I'm hitting this area, have also hired these contractors to come out. They didn't need an installation. For them, it was just an air conditioning repair. But both of us were in agreement that these guys were excellent, right? We want to kind of have these like lengthy reviews, and you can use these to talk about and really hit these areas around town. This is huge, guys. This is how you're going to move the needle on this stuff. First, we get the information, and then we build up our strategies around it. Let's talk about it some more. We go over here inside of our Google accounts. If we were to go to the post section, so if you've got your API, if you guys don't have your API, I highly recommend that you get it, because this type of stuff it's huge for understanding having the information that you need to be able to move things, right? So I can make a post over here that says we are offering a special, maybe it's $100 off in air conditioner installation. And then I can go over here and start talking about the areas again. What were those things called? Was that Normal Heights? Is that what that area was? Normal Heights.
Yeah, Normal Heights.
Normal Heights, Mission Valley East areas. You don't have to do this $100 in the Normal Heights and Mission Valley East areas. Maybe you don't want to limit it like this, but you can work in these locations with your keywords into this, and you can upload an image. And I'll tell you that image should have the name that you're trying to target, right? So this image could be an air conditioner installation with normal heights as a part of the name, right? And when we get our reviews, we can have images uploaded, and those images can be named with what we're trying to target, right? Like my air conditioner installation, something like this. You want to think about it, this, if it's going to be posted with the review, then it needs to be from the perspective of the client, of the person who had the installation done, right? You want things to always be organic, right? When you reply to the review, like the review comes in. So let's go look real quick. Let's go over here. And if we click on the averages, because I've like eliminated the ocean and these other spots, now my averages are like, the averages are only taking into account the parts that I care about, right? So this is this company right here. They're the #1 company because their average is the lowest over this area. This is a huge area, and San Diego is really competitive, and HVAC is super competitive. So it doesn't mean that these guys are terrible because their average is a 15. When you go into these really competitive areas and competitive niches, then the average is going to go up for the top person. That's just the way it works. If I click on this and I go out here and I see that there's 83 reviews, I can see that they're not replying to the reviews. This could be a really good strategy for you guys when you're prospecting and you want to point out ways that they can improve things. Like, hey, we have this software that allows you to reply to the reviews directly in it and lets us know whenever a review comes in. So like you want to reply to the reviews, and when you reply to the reviews, look at this review. Look how long this thing is. That's great. That's the type of reviews you guys want to get. You don't want to have a review that says, great job. You know, you want this long one. Google values these more, right? And they need to be replied to. And when you reply to them, that's an opportunity for you guys to put in keywords, right? So, hey, we're happy that we had the opportunity to come out to your house in normal heights and install a new air conditioner. We appreciate the trust that you have put in us. And if you know of anyone else in the San Diego area, we would love to help, or if you ever need air conditioning services in the San Diego area, again, we're happy to help, right? That's how the reply should be done so that we can continue to build relevance to the Google My Business for the locations and the terms that we're really trying to target, right? So we want to just blast this thing nonstop with these things, right? So these all are kind of like a part of a strategy. And, you know, Jeff and I recently had a conversation where there's parts of the strategy that we do that we think the reviews are huge. And there's other parts of the strategy that we're not as sure how much of a factor they are. But I'm basically going to take every advantage that I can get within, ethically, right? To move the dial for my properties. So if naming the photos maybe that's only 1 unit of advantage, and maybe a review is 20 units, I'm still going to name the photos and I'm going to take that 1 unit. And if citations are 25 units, but maybe the bad citations are only 3, I don't care. I'm going to take those citations because I'm going to keep stacking this up. If you look at this area across San Diego and how competitive this is, you need to take every one of those advantages, right? Even if you've done your due diligence awesome and you're in a weak area where it's not going to be super difficult to rank, it will happen faster if you do these things. So you need to be doing all the different parts and pieces that are going to line up with you being able to rank this thing faster, right? Okay, cool. So Jeff, did we pick up any questions along the way?
I am not seeing any specific Lee.
I have a question.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but go for it.
That's Janeri.
Janeri, what up?
What's going on?
You look great today.
Oh, I know. Thank you. I'm in my car actually. So, okay. So 2 questions. So this is great. My question is, one, for the neighborhoods, have you found, because there's multiple different sites to find neighborhoods, just easier to go to one website that has a list of all the neighborhoods of a city versus trying to zoom into the map? Or is there an easier way that you find to look at the neighborhoods to target them?
I really like zooming into the map. And here's why, because like this map right here that you guys see that we built the heat map on top of, this is Google Maps that we build it on top of. And this is where we're trying to rank our Google My Business. And these ones that are larger and larger print are Google saying the areas that they think are more prominent in these areas. So using this strategy to determine the neighborhoods, I think is smart, but you can cross-reference this stuff. I don't think that's a bad idea. You know, I'm sure Google knows the population, and maybe there's more to meet the eye than just looking at the neighborhood names. But I would definitely pay attention to the ones that are on Google in like the bold print that are sticking out, because Google's doing that for a reason, right? And you'll notice that, like, if you look in any city around the country, like a city that you know, and you look at those like neighborhoods, it'll line up with stuff that you know, right? They're not picking, for the most part, they're not picking like random things that don't matter. Does that make sense, Janeri?
It does. It does. It's just sometimes I understand looking at the points and depending on how it's ranking, zooming in and then looking at the city, at the neighborhood. It's sometimes hard to see. So you do have to like zoom in, like it doesn't pop up as well.
Right, you gotta zoom, you gotta play with it a little bit.
Yeah. And then my second question is, when it comes to the reviews, how are you getting people to review with the keywords? Are you saying some kind of terminology to them? Like, how do you get them to actually give keywords in the reviews?
Right. So it depends what who the review is coming from, right? So if the review is coming from, so like the ideal way to get this is your clients can be like using the reputation management that's built in. If you guys have the platform, you're like, it's already in here and there's an automation for it. So the client can like, let's say he goes out and does like HVAC at Janeri's house. And he's like, hey, Janeri, we're doing our best. This is a competitive niche that we're in a competitive market. And we do our best to try to take care of our clients. And, we really listen to the feedback that they have. And if you had a minute, it would be great if you could kind of share your experience with you. I can send a link to make it super easy. And you can just when you write your review, just mention the kind of part of town where you're at. So the people that are around you understand where we provide service. And if you could also mention the work that was done. So for you, for instance, we did an air conditioner installation. We just want our people to know when they're considering our service, the types of work that we have experience with, right? So giving them something like that and coaching your clients on a way to request that, I think is a powerful part of that process.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Cause I know the other way, like if I'm getting reviews from people, but from customer wise, I wasn't sure what kind of language can we use the best to get it. Cause naturally they do mention it,
That's
but
right.
It's nice to kind of guide them. So yeah, they naturally will say, hey, Bob was great, so and so and so, and they'll mention it. So, okay, cool.
Yeah. So let me also, if you're building out, let's say that like, I don't know if you guys saw this, we had a win that we didn't bring up, but CJ, he basically automated review collection. So what he did is when a phone call comes in, he's got a tow truck company and he knows that the sales cycle for towing is like a couple hours at most, right? So what he did is he said, hey, when a new phone call comes in, if the phone call is greater than or equal to 120 seconds, I want to request, I'm going to like put them into a sequence. And probably what I would do is I would also mark this as a first time caller is equal to first time. Because if this person calls back a few times, we don't want to be sending out a second and third. If they have a 120-second conversation, we don't want to be sending out multiple review requests to the same person. So I could come over here. So what he's doing is he's saying, hey, if this happens, I'm going to wait a little while. So because the tow truck cycle is 2 hours, right? So now what I'm saying, like, if it comes in for this, and you would add a company here too as a filter. So these filters will allow you to say, like, don't continue with this automation and this workflow unless this criteria is met. So in this situation, I would have the time, I would have it set the first time, and I would set the company equal to my tow truck company. And then I would come down here, I'm going to say, I'm going to wait 2 hours. So if all this stuff is true, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to wait. What's the next step? Okay. My next step is wait 2 hours, right? So then I'm got it set to the contact's phone number, right? So this is the person that called. The lead or is a contact. That's what that is. And I could say, hey, we appreciate the chance to help you today. We would love to hear about your experience. If you have a minute, can you share your thoughts on how we did? If you don't mind including a little description about the service and where you were, that would be very useful for us. So now I've got an automated review collection based on, I've got an automated review collection that's happening based on the phone call timing. And I'm educating the person right away on what I want them to include in the review, right? So what I need to do is I need to include a link to my funnel. And if I click on this link options with this text message, then I can include that link. So you can see right here, this isn't the actual link. It's going to be added on to the end of it. One of the things that you might want to check, maybe not, I don't know, is the time that this text message is sent, right? So if this person calls at, maybe they call at 10 o'clock at night, they get picked up at 10:45, they go home, they're in bed at 11:30, 2 hours hits, now it's midnight, this text message rolls in. It's kind of rude to be texting someone you don't know at midnight. So if you uncheck this, then you can just say, hey, I only want my text messages to be sent during this time period. So it's every day between 8 a.m. and then maybe it's like 6 p.m. or something, right? And if it's a stranger, maybe we'll want that to be 9 a.m. instead of 8. So now if this is outside of this window, it's going to send a text message when this window occurs again. So let's say the tow happened at 10 o'clock at night. This thing's going through. It's like, okay, this qualifies. I'm going to wait 2 hours. It's time to send a text message. Oh, wait a minute. I'm outside that window. So I'm going to wait until 9 a.m. the next day, and I'm going to send this. So you may want to change this from today if you're going to do this. You can make this like more personalized to towing, right? So you've got an automated strategy, and this is what CJ did. And he just posted that. He just set this up, I think, a few days ago. He's already had, I don't know if it was one or multiple positive reviews that have come in. So this is built into the system, and these reviews help you rank. And if you can another step that you could do that would be really powerful is you could have your clients, you can give your clients access to the system, and you have the ability to set up fields, right? If we go over here, we can set up a field for them, and maybe the field is job closed. And you could set up the same thing. Like if this phone call comes in and it's this length of time, maybe I'm going to wait maybe this is for fencing, right? So the sales cycle is a lot longer. It's 5 days now. So all this comes in. Instead of sending it to the contact this time, I'm going to send it to the associated client for the company. And I'm going to say something like, hey, and I can make this personalized pretty easy. I could say, I'll pull over the client's first name. So it's going to substitute that in. So his name's, it's like Tom's Fencing. So it's going to say, hey, Tom, were you able to close this job? If so, can you update the status to job completed? And I can make a field associated with this company called job completed, right? And I could, instead of sending this link, this time I'm going to send a link. Instead of sending a link to the funnel, I'll send a link to the lead. So it'll take him right to the lead details, right? And I could maybe even put some more information about this. Like I could say, let's see here. I'll pull over the name of the person from the lead. So if this is a phone call, I might not have that. I'll pull over their email address. This is a phone call. So if these are not there, they'll just be left blank, right? If there's a call recording, I can include a recording to that call. I can also, let's put the phone number in here, right? The phone number, if it's a phone call, I'll have the phone number, right? So now I can have this going out in 5 days, right? So it's automatically going to send this message out in 5 days and ask this person to update whether it's completed or not, right? Or even if they don't say, like maybe you've got a VA and they just monitor the text message and you don't ask them to update it so it's completed because they're a contractor and they're busy and they don't know how tech works and maybe that's too much for them. So you just get a response on whether this was completed or not. And you could say like, we want to send them a review request because this can really help us get more business for you, right? So we can have that with each message if we want. Right. So, and then we have a trigger. What if we have a trigger here where it's like, okay, whenever a field status is updated, this time I'm going to change it. When a field status is, so this is on a new automation, right? Whenever the field status is updated and the job status is set to, I guess I didn't set this up as a drop down within our forms, but if this is a drop down, I would select it as completed. And I could say, if it's updated as completed, then put them into the review sequence. So there's another way to automate the review collection, right? So using these methods and kind of pairing this stuff and getting those reviews in an automated sequence is part of what can help you move these things. All this stuff kind of ties together, guys, right? So we have these automations. If you guys take advantage of them, they can be brilliant, as CJ is finding out, for helping you collect these reviews for your business. And if you educate your clients and you kind of build in some of these steps to kind of like prompt the person for the type of details to include in the review, I think you're going to see some really good results. Additionally, we've talked about this in the past. I went over this a little bit on last week's call. The neighborhood pages, right? Janeri kind of referenced this. We can talk about these areas on our website, right? What if I got a backlink that said HVAC contractor, Normal Heights area, San Diego, right? Or like, let's just mention it in all these different spots and let's see what happens. So when Google is trying to decide who is most relevant in an area, so it's really all about relevance, right? So relevance includes quality, right? So if I am a really good fencing contractor, I'm not relevant to HVAC. But if I'm a really good HVAC contractor because I've got a lot of content on my site and I've got these other sites that are linking to my site, they're saying like Patrick's HVAC company is really good. It's got great information. This is a site that you should pay attention to. Like Google looks at that and says, oh, okay, this person's relevant because they have good information. They've got a lot of reviews, so people trust them. People like, here's proof that these guys are actually doing this stuff. And then they're looking at the reviews and they're saying, what are people talking about in the reviews? What area? Oh, they're talking about this part of town. Maybe they provide service in that part of town. It all makes sense as to why this stuff works and why this stuff matters, right? But if you guys sit there and you don't take advantage of it, you might as well not know this stuff because it's of no value. If you've got GMBs that aren't ranking, this is kind of a blueprint on how you can get those GMBs to start ranking. It's like, use this heat map. This heat map is phenomenal for improving your ranking on this area. So it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch thing, right? The first thing is you can use this to do due diligence on the area before you go into a city, right? Let's find out who the top ranking people are. Let's find out how tough those people are. If they're weak, we go into that area. Okay, now we're into the area and we're starting to rank and we're starting to get some results. We can use this to help us rank better, right? We can use this to find out where we're weak, where we're strong. Maybe we need a second or third GMB. If this was my company and I was in San Diego, with how populated it is, you're going to have a bunch of GMBs. Like I would say between 5 and 8. If you're going to hit this whole, like if you want to take over San Diego, you're not going to do it. As we saw, like this is exactly evidence of what I'm talking about. This is a small area here, and the top person is a 7.65. If we go back to that other one that's covering the whole city, this one right here, the top ranking person has an average of 15. If you were to go into a small town, like you'll see HVAC companies that will have an average of 1.0 because they're ranking in every spot. You just don't see that with one GMB, no matter where you go for a big city like this. It's just really hard to do. I mean, you can see it in some niches, but it's rare to see it in like an area like San Diego or Chicago or Dallas, where with one GMB taking over a competitive niche, right? And staying that way for any length of time, right? You'll see this much more often. You got to set up more GMBs to be able to, you got to divide the city up in the areas and put GMBs, put those little antennas all over the place, and then be using this on each antenna to improve the local ranking for each one, right? So does that make sense? You guys have any questions?
We've got a couple of questions, Patrick, in the kind of sort of unrelated. Are you going to go over posting, GMB posting?
I did a little bit earlier. I can go back into it some.
We have just a quick question, like how often should we be posting?
I would probably do it once a week. They expire once a week. You want to just like keep feeding this thing, right? And I think if you start to do it where it's like too many times, then it can look spammy, right?
Right. And then Chooks is asking if he has somebody on a monthly, what is the advantage of going into the system and designating calls and forms as leads specifically?
Designate, I'm trying to, Chooks, can you give us a little clarification on that? What's up, man?
Yeah,
How are you doing?
So, hello. Hi, Patrick. Yeah, imagine I have a client on a flat fee. So why should I bother, or why should he bother to update the lead status in the CRM? What will be the benefit of that?
Okay, let's say that, well, I can think of two right off the bat. So like first, what's the, like, let's say you're getting $500 a month from this client, right? And for me, if I was getting $500, if I was getting $2,000 a month, and I'm looking at a market that maybe I can turn this into a client that's paying me $10,000 a month. Like, let me take over the entire city. And if I can get him to update the status, trigger reviews, then he can get more business. And then the value that I'm providing him is worth more, which means I can charge more, right? Also, if you can, if these leads are coming in and you're not sure what he's closing, you have no idea where he is with the value that you're providing to him. Like, I mean, you have some idea. Maybe you're sending him 25 leads a month. And what if he's closing 20 of them? Or what if he's closing 3 of them, right? Then like the value that you're providing is completely different. And, having that information is very important as you for us, the first step is getting the client and or getting the leads to come in, and then we get the client. And that's the beginning of the relationship. But when we have a good client, the reason that our agency has grown the way it has is not because we just started landing like clients all over the place. We had one client that pays us the most, pays us $13,000 a month. He started off just like any other client paying us $1,500 a month. We kept on increasing things. And ranking more and going into new markets. And by having kind of an idea of what was working for him, it allowed us to alter our strategy. And the more information you have on this, the better. And, you know, it's also true. Like we've talked about how the reviews are going to help you rank better, right? But they're also going to make it easier for your client to close. Imagine that you call two companies to come, two companies are coming to your house, two air conditioning companies. And the first one has 3 reviews that are 5 stars. And the second one has 750 reviews and like 730 of them are 5 stars. Who do you trust more? Right? If you trust one more than the other, how is that going to impact the closing percentage of that client? And how is that going to impact, like maybe this guy decides like, okay, I'm crushing the competition. So I can land the same amount of jobs, but I can raise my fee by 15 or 20% because I know that people trust us more. So this can be a catalyst for triggering those reviews. It can give you analytics on the health of the client with like them being successful on this. It can help them stay organized within their own business. I could probably think of additional ideas, but those are the ones that are coming to right away. Like even for us, we have a lot of people that are on flat fees, and I pay somebody to go through and listen to all of our calls. We're working towards a transcription service for the phone call so that we can have that built in so you can see the recording, like the transcribed conversation that goes through to make it easier to qualify. And then we can start having like, okay, if they mention like, maybe they mention like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, any of the days, maybe we automatically mark that as a qualified call because they're setting up, or they mention appointment or estimate. Like, so like this information is critical for you understanding, even though ours are on a flat fee, like, and to some extent it's like sit it and forget it. But we have people that are in there checking on these things to make sure that, you know, the value is there, because if it's not, we're going to hear from them at some point. We've had times where like 100 phone calls came in and 95 of them are spam. We're like, oh, that looked like it would have been a great month, but in fact it wasn't, right? So I think there's an implication based on the question that I'm kind of hitting on, and I hope that's making sense, Chooks.
Absolutely, that clarifies it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Did you want to ask your question about the Bob's Bear removal? I'm not sure who was asking the question.
Yeah,
No.
yes. So Patrick, I think I noticed on some lives previously that the GMB was suspended. The Bob's Bear removal GMB was suspended.
Yeah.
Now I see it live. So is it the same one, or I'm just curious?
No, it's actually suspended. Like if you go over here, you'll see it's location suspended.
You're not sharing.
Oh, sorry. It's still suspended. I was just in a different part where I was under the posting, and you can't see the suspension status from there. Yeah,
I was just curious if you got it unsuspended, what you got to do and all that. Yeah.
This one's the tough one to get unsuspended because, like, to be honest, I'm not even sure if bear removal is a real service. So, like, getting that unsuspended when but there's a lot of ways to get it. We've had GMBs that have got suspended, and we've gotten those removed. And part of that process may look like, you want to appeal the decision to Google. So within your GMB, there's an area where you can file an appeal. A lot of times they're going to ask for documentation on, like, is this a real business? Can you show me like a state certificate? So I haven't done this personally, but I've heard that people have used Photoshop to their advantage in situations like that, where they can create some of this stuff. Google's not the government. I neither approve nor disapprove of this strategy, but I've heard that a lot of people have had success with getting GMBs out of suspension by using a strategy like that. But I think a lot of it is just like open up the dialogue with Google through the appeal and say like, hey, why did this get suspended? We have a business that's relying on this Google My Business. What did we do? We don't understand. How can we get this back as soon as possible? What do you need and I would say 6 or 7 times out of 10, you're going to be able to get that suspension lifted. Bob's Bear removal, I'm
That
not,
was
not a lot of
never
confidence
intended-
for it.
That was never intended to be the demo GMB. That was just a joke in the beginning.
Yeah, it was like a joke GMB that we turned into the demo. We've done a lot of demos on this, and I don't know if, I'm not sure why it got suspended. Maybe Google caught on, or maybe somebody said, hey, this isn't real. I don't know.
Or something. We did change the name of it. Another question, is it possible to send a request for review if the client's phone number is not part of any phone system?
Yeah, you can. So if you come down here to your Google My Business, you can grab the review link. Like this isn't a live GMB. So click on the, oops, sorry. All right, let me share the screen here. Okay, so if you guys have a GMB that's plugged into the API, then what you can do is you can come down here and grab on the details page. You can get the review link by clicking right here. Since this is so Chooks, you can see it's suspended. So this won't work because GMB is not live. I click on this, it's going to say, hey, that's not going to work. But if it were live and it were plugged into the system, then I'd be able to get it from there. Additionally, let me see if I can do this real quick. You can get into, hang on one second. You can access the review link from your actual GMB as well. So that's another way. Like, so like for those of you guys that do not have an API yet, or you're waiting on your API approval, that doesn't mean that you can't get the same link. I'll show you if I can do this in a way where I'm not exposing a GMB of my own. Give me 1 second here, guys. Do you have any other questions while I'm getting this set up, Jeff?
I have one more. Patrick with a K is asking, Patrick, perhaps you can do a case study on the client that now pays $13K a month. Maybe that's good for a future call. Not really a question.
Yeah, we could do that. Here.
Yeah, it's more about just expanding that it's a particular type of deal. I mean, if you have a contractor who can handle a wider area, regional, like I always try to, when I'm prospecting, especially in certain niches, I try to get people who are regional players, meaning like multi-state, could be in one area of the US or not. Either way, they generally operate that way. So I favor those people, and I will, if I have an asset that's pulling in whatever quantity of leads, generally it's not enough to warrant, charging a fee, a monthly, then I'll tease them, I'll give them the sugar and let them get addicted to it and go that direction. And it's like, they don't always work. Like 9 out of 10 times they don't. I had one that I fed some leads for a few months, and then the sales manager left the company and I served from scratch, right? So stuff like that happens, but on the other side of it, the wins can be really big. And this client that we have is a really good example of that, where when I came on with Patrick, he had a couple of locations and he was paying a smaller amount. And then it was like just building a relationship. And part of the reason why I came into work with Patrick is because he didn't have the time to manage the software and continue to build these relationships. It's all about relationships. So the more that I kind of tuned into his business and what he was trying to do, I was like, hey, by the way, we have this other location, this other location, this other location. And next thing you know, he's at $13K a month, and he's willing to pay us 6 figures a month if we can deliver the quantity of leads that are going to pump his business that way. So if you find those types of clients or potential clients, for me, I'm a big picture thinker and very strategic. And if I can get, one of those clients rather than 10 other clients that are paying me, it's less to manage. It's more fun, especially if it's the right client. I love this client. He's a blast, and we have a lot of fun together as we're helping each other build our businesses. So I look for that, and it's in that particular case worked out very well. And I expect to continue to grow with him. Have another similar client that's regional, and they're still kind of in that trial phase. That's the one where the sales manager left, but we're starting to get some good action with them and traction with them. So I'm hoping that that's going to turn into another bigger relationship for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That communication, and you know, when I brought on Jeff, I was bringing him on to manage the relationships with clients and to like try to close some deals. And I didn't realize the benefit of having somebody constantly talking to our clients to this extent. And then like he just kept raising the rent on these people by like, hey, they want to go into this market. And those were conversations I didn't have time to have happen in the past. So you guys can see real quick, I've taken a screenshot from a GMB and, or I guess, you know, the Google GBP now. I'm not sure I can ever make that change, but anyways, you can see if you go to the home area and you scroll down a little bit, there's this section that says get more reviews. And if you click on this button that says share review form, it'll give you a link. And that's the link that you need to be able to make that request, right? So for any GMB, you can do that, not just for ones that are within our system. That's where you can get that link. You can actually use that link if you were to go in here into the automation, if you wanted to put it into the automation because you don't have it set up, you could go directly through here. I would have it go through the funnel because the funnel can help protect you from bad reviews. But you know, if you want to include a link, you have this option to include one to the lead details. You have the option to include one to the review funnel, or you can choose other, and then you can enter in your own link right there, right? And so that could be the one that you've copied. If you
you're not sharing the screen.
What's that?
You're not sharing the screen. You're not sharing your screen.
Is that true? It says I was sharing. I was sharing.
Uh-huh.
So you guys could see that. It's just Vadim wasn't able to.
We're sharing the other screen.
I was sharing the other screen.
Yeah.
My apologies, guys. Sorry, Vadim. Thanks for pointing that out. So,
no worries. Actually, that was the question I was about to ask. How would you automate it if it's at all possible? So I didn't get a chance to see it though. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess I wasn't sharing this part of it then, but this is a picture of a Google My Business that's in our agency. And you can see if you go to the home section over here on the left and you scroll down, this won't be at the top. I scrolled down a little bit and there's an area that says get more reviews. And then within that area, there's a button that says share review form. And if I click on that, it will give me a link. And then I can use that link to send it to clients. They could send it directly to them. That would go directly to their Google My Business. If you want to use the funnel can kind of protect you from, right? If we look at this, just take a look at it real quick so everyone, we're on the same page here. So every company inside of LeadSnap has a funnel, and we can add in the link. This is also where we can add in the link to our funnel, right? I could go here, could click on this, choose Google, and I could paste in the link right here that I've copied from here. If I don't have it in the GMB API, I could still get it from my Google My Business and paste it right here, right? And then when somebody clicks on the funnel, it's going to redirect. So if I preview this funnel here and I click on 5 stars, it's going to redirect to the link that I've put in there, right? If I click on 1 star, it'll go to the feedback form. So you kind of have this level of protection if you use the funnel, but you don't have to. You could go right to, have them go right to this link. But if they're not happy, they might leave a bad review there.
Hey, Patrick, do you upload these clients? Like you have your client send you the Excel sheet and then you upload them to send this funnel?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go in here to contacts.
Is that the SOP though? Is that how you do it, or?
Yeah, I would say that's a good way to, start, is to have them send you a sheet. And what you can do is you can click right here and download this template, right? And then this template is a spreadsheet, and you basically match this stuff from that spreadsheet. And then you upload it right here. You click on import, and that brings them all in here. And these tags right here you can tag it in the spreadsheet. There's a column that says tag. So you can tag it with like Jim's clients may, right? And I can upload them all in here. Maybe if you don't have, maybe it's something you want to do on a monthly basis because your client is getting a lot of their own leads from some other source and you want to still like get more reviews from those people. And you could, once a month, you could upload those in there. And what I could do is I could come over here and let's say I select, these are different contacts. I select these contacts. There's a bulk action here to add them to an automation. And I'll click on apply and it will ask me what automation. So if I have one set up for reviews, right? Like test review request, then I can have all these, there's 6 contacts that are selected. So I could say I want all of them to go in this automation now, or maybe I want to add it over time. And I just want to add like maybe one, maybe I want to add like 2 per week. So then it will drip those contacts that you've uploaded. So like with 6, maybe it's not a big deal, but imagine I uploaded 1,000 and I've got 4 reviews on the GMB. And now I'm sending out review requests to 1,000 people all at once, where there previously there's been 4 reviews. So I probably want to break those up so that it looks more natural and organic over time, right? So if I had 1,000, maybe what I want to do is I want to send it out to 20 a week. So that means it's going to go for like 50 weeks because it's going to divide however many contacts you have by the period, right? And it's going to drip those in there each week. So that would be a good way to do it. All right, guys. I don't want to put my voice back into the spot. I can already feel like it's getting weaker here. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes. I hope you guys got some value from this. I know this was a little bit different where it was really focused and more tactical, but these are some important gaps based on the conversation that I've had with a lot of members of the group and people using the software that I think some skills that we really need to focus on and some tactics that we need to employ to improve the rankings of our GMB. A lot of you guys I talk to like, hey, I've got GMBs that are not ranking. This is what I would do if I were in your shoes. I would get those things ranking and I would pay attention, rewatch this video a few times if you have to, write down the strategies, come up with a schedule for your Google My Businesses on how you're going to apply these different strategies that we talked on here. And let's get those things ranking so that we can get leads coming in, so that we can get money coming in, and then we can kind of like use that to scale our business further or whatever we want to do, you know? All right. You guys have an awesome week. Do what you got to do over the next 7 days to create some wins. If you guys, we had streaming issues again. So I would love to hear, I've been really enjoying, our whole team has been enjoying reading the feedback that you guys have given on your biggest takeaways. So if you're watching this live, it would mean a lot if you guys, we're going to post this thing probably later tonight or tomorrow morning. And if you guys could go back, circle back and say, hey, these are some of the biggest takeaways I got from this. If you're watching this recording, throw it into the Facebook comments and let us know the value that you're getting from this so that we can shape our calls in the future and address where you guys are getting the most value from. All right, you guys have an awesome week. I appreciate you guys. Go crush it this week and create some wins. Take care, my friends.
You can always join at leadsnap.com/Zoom. You can always join.
Yes, leadsnap.com/Zoom to jump on one of these calls each week. You guys also follow us on YouTube. If you guys know anyone else that is that would get value from this, let them know, right? Let them know. It helps us. We've grown this group with no advertising from 0 to 900 people. I think we're going to be at 1,000 before the end of June. We appreciate you guys. Whoever is referring people, we appreciate you guys. Obviously, we don't charge anything for these calls, right? But what we would hope that you will do to help us out is to spread the word on our group and send good people our way. People that are serious about growing their business, changing their lives. That's what we're here for. So we appreciate you guys. Have a great week. We'll talk with you guys soon. Thanks a lot.
Peace.